Hi, welcome to Fiction Fingers Fairy Channel. Please subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories, and don't forget to like and share this video. Thank you. Sofia grew up in a humble family. Her parents worked hard to provide for their two daughters, Sofia and Emily. Emily, Sofia's older sister, was always seen as the golden child in the family. From a young age, she exhibited exceptional intelligence, beauty, and charisma. Her academic achievements and charming personality made her the pride and joy of their parents. On the other hand, Sofia often felt overshadowed by Emily's brilliance. Despite her own unique qualities and talents, she struggled to gain the same level of recognition and praise from her parents. She yearned to be seen and appreciated for who she was, rather than constantly being compared to her sister. "Emily, you did exceptionally well on your exams. Your hard work really paid off," their parents exclaimed with pride, showering Emily with praise. Sofia stood quietly nearby, feeling a pang of envy mixed with admiration for her sister. "Sofia, why can't you be more like Emily? Look at how organized she is with her studies," their mother would often say, unintentionally adding to Sofia's feelings of inadequacy. Sofia would nod silently, her heart sinking with each comparison. Despite her frustration and hurt, Sofia kept her emotions bottled up inside, unwilling to burden her parents with her insecurities. She smiled weakly and nodded along, pretending that their words didn't affect her. Deep down, Sofia longed for her parents' validation and acceptance for who she was, rather than constantly being measured against her sister's achievements. She yearned to be seen and appreciated for her own unique qualities and accomplishments. As the comparisons continued, Sofia's resentment towards her parents grew, but she remained silent, afraid to confront them about her feelings. She feared that speaking up would only lead to further disappointment and rejection. Throughout their childhood, Sofia grew accustomed to receiving hand-me-downs from her sister, while Emily enjoyed the luxury of new clothes, shoes, and toys. Sofia would patiently wait for Emily to outgrow her belongings before she could claim them as her own. "Emily, look at this beautiful dress I got for you," their mother exclaimed, holding up a vibrant new outfit for Emily. Sofia's eyes dimmed as she watched her sister receive yet another gift. "Can I have a new dress too, Mom?" Sofia asked timidly, hoping for a small glimmer of recognition. "Not now, dear. You can wear this one once Emily is done with it," their mother replied, dismissing Sofia's request with a wave of her hand. The only exception to this pattern was on Sofia's birthday, when her parents would occasionally splurge on a new item just for her. "We can't afford to buy new things all the time, Sofia," her mother would say, trying to justify their financial limitations. Despite feeling overlooked and neglected, Sofia learned to accept her circumstances and make the most of what she had. As Sofia matured, she began to understand the financial strain her family faced and the sacrifices her parents made to provide for them. During family gatherings and social gatherings, Sofia's parents would often boast about Emily's achievements and talents, showering her with praise and admiration. "Emily is such a bright student, always at the top of her class," her mother would proudly declare, while Sofia sat quietly beside her. "I wish Sofia would work as hard as Emily. She's always lagging behind in school," her father would lament, drawing sympathetic nods from the relatives and friends gathered around. As the conversation continued, Sofia's parents would highlight Emily's extracurricular activities, her artistic talents, and her charming personality, painting a picture of a perfect daughter who could do no wrong. Meanwhile, Sofia listened in silence, feeling invisible and insignificant in the shadow of her sister's accomplishments. She longed for just a fraction of the attention and praise lavished upon Emily, but she knew better than to voice her feelings. When asked about Sofia, her parents would offer half-hearted compliments or express concerns about her academic performance. "Sofia's doing okay, but she could do better if she tried harder," her mother would say, her tone tinged with disappointment. Sofia's heart sank with each comparison and criticism, but she masked her hurt with a forced smile, unwilling to burden others with her insecurities. Despite her efforts, Sofia's attempts to win her parents' approval often went unnoticed. Each morning she would rise before Emily, determined to show her dedication and diligence. "I'll make them proud today," she whispered to herself, steeling her resolve as she delved into her studies with unwavering determination. Throughout the day, Sofia poured herself into her schoolwork, spending extra hours poring over textbooks and completing assignments to ensure she excelled in her studies. "I'll show them what I'm capable of," she thought, her determination driving her forward even when the praise she longed for remained elusive. In the evening, Sofia would eagerly assist her mother with household chores, hoping that her efforts would finally garner the recognition and affection she craved. "I'll do whatever it takes to make them see my worth," she vowed silently, scrubbing floors and washing dishes with a sense of purpose. However, despite Sofia's tireless efforts, her parents remained focused on Emily, praising her achievements while overlooking Sofia's contributions. "Emily, you're such a big help around the house," her mother would say, oblivious to Sofia's presence as she lavished praise upon her sister. With each passing day, Sofia's frustration and resentment grew, but she refused to give up hope. "Maybe one day they'll see me for who I am," she whispered to herself, clinging to the belief that her perseverance would eventually pay off, even in the face of indifference from those closest to her. As the favoritism towards Emily persisted, Sofia found herself not only overlooked but also subjected to her sister's bullying. "Admit it, Sofia, it's your fault," Emily would demand, her words dripping with venom as she shifted blame onto her younger sister. Caught in a cycle of unfair treatment, Sofia felt powerless to defend herself against Emily's manipulation. Feeling betrayed by both her sister and her parents, Sofia often found herself bearing the brunt of Emily's misdeeds. "Please, Emily, don't do this," she would plead, her voice tinged with desperation as she tried to reason with her sister. But Emily's demands fell on deaf ears as she continued to exploit Sofia's vulnerability for her own gain. Despite Sofia's protests, her parents remained oblivious to Emily's bullying tactics, further exacerbating Sofia's sense of isolation and frustration. "Sofia, stop causing trouble for your sister," her mother would scold, unwittingly reinforcing Emily's dominance over her younger sibling. Caught in a vicious cycle of manipulation and mistreatment, Sofia struggled to find solace or support within her own family. "Why won't they listen to me?" she would wonder, her heart heavy with the weight of her parents' favoritism and her sister's cruelty. As Sofia's isolation deepened, she withdrew further into herself, seeking solace in solitude. "Maybe it's better this way," she would murmur to herself, her voice barely audible as she grappled with her growing sense of insecurity. Alone with her thoughts, Sofia found herself consumed by self-doubt, her confidence eroded by the relentless onslaught of negativity. Day after day, Sofia's quiet demeanor made her an easy target for bullies at school. "Hey, Sofia, why so quiet?" they would taunt, their words like daggers aimed at her fragile sense of self-worth. Unable to defend herself, Sofia would shrink further into the shadows, her silence betraying the turmoil within. In the solitude of her own company, Sofia wrestled with feelings of inadequacy and self-loathing. "Why can't I be more like Emily?" she would lament, her heart heavy with the weight of unmet expectations. Trapped in a cycle of self-criticism, Sofia found herself sinking deeper into despair with each passing day. Despite her efforts to blend into the background, Sofia's pain was impossible to ignore. "Why won't they leave me alone?" she would whisper to herself, her voice trembling with unshed tears as she struggled to make sense of the cruelty that surrounded her. With each passing insult, Sofia's spirit grew more fragile, her once bright light dimming with each blow. At times, Sofia's overwhelming despair drove her to entertain thoughts of escape, yearning to flee the suffocating confines of her home and the relentless torment of school. "I can't take this anymore," she would whisper to herself, her voice barely audible over the clamor of her inner turmoil. Alone in her room, Sofia would bury her face in her hands, tears streaming down her cheeks as she grappled with the overwhelming urge to run away. Day after day, the pain of existence grew unbearable, each passing moment a cruel reminder of her own inadequacy. "Why does everything have to be so hard?" Sofia would cry out in frustration, her voice cracking with emotion, as she struggled to make sense of the unrelenting hardship that surrounded her. Despite her best efforts to soldier on, Sofia's academic performance suffered, her grades slipping as the weight of her despair bore down upon her. "Sofia, what's going on with your grades? They've been dropping consistently," Sofia's mother exclaimed, her brows furrowed in concern as she glanced at Sofia's latest report card. "I've been trying, Mom. I don't know what's happening," Sofia replied, her voice tinged with frustration and exhaustion. "Well, trying obviously isn't enough. You need to start putting in more effort," Sofia's father interjected sternly, his disappointment evident in his tone. "I know, Dad, but it's not as easy as it sounds," Sofia retorted, feeling a surge of defensiveness rising within her. "We expect better from you, Sofia. You're capable of so much more," her mother chimed in, her voice tinged with disappointment. Sofia sighed heavily, feeling the weight of their expectations crushing down on her shoulders. "I'll try harder, I promise," she muttered softly, her resolve wavering under the weight of their disapproval. "Good," "We expect to see improvement next term," her mother stated firmly, her tone leaving no room for argument. As they continued their discussion, Sofia couldn't help but feel a sense of resentment building within her, torn between her desire to meet her parents' expectations and the overwhelming pressure to perform. "To be continued,"